Hi, everybody. My name is Jessica. I use she, her pronouns. And our practice today is going to be very gentle and cooling, really meant to soothe your nervous system. If you have any stress or anxiety, this is going to be great for that. And also, we're going to stretch out and work out any kinks you might have in your body. So, for our practice today, we'll need 2 blocks and a blanket. And we're going to start on our back. So I'm going to go ahead and lay back here. And I'm using my blanket to start with as a pillow. And you can do the same if you'd like. So, as always, we'll start this class with a few moments of stillness to give ourselves space to get really rooted and grounded into this practice today. Start with your knees bent and the soles of the feet down on the ground. Maybe walk the feet out wide, and maybe it feels good to let the knees fall in a bit just to kind of hang out here to start. Find your body, find your space. Spread the arms out, take up some room here. And let the shoulder blades really relax and soften into the back as you release the shoulders down. Close the eyes. And just start to notice what you're experiencing today. How is that breath moving? Is there anything you are carrying around mentally on your mind, on your conscience? Anything that would take you away from our practice? Just kind of acknowledge and create some space for yourself today to move, to be present, and to release anything that doesn't serve you, anything that you don't need to hold on to, anything that's not made any better by holding on. And as you reckon with how you're feeling in your body, come into the breath and start to, if you have the space, deepen that next inhale. Soften the body to receive that breath fully, unrestricted. Let the belly expand, let the chest expand, and exhale. Release that breath. Feel the belly slowly coming back towards the spine as it empties. Slowly filling up again. And make this breath as comfortable, as smooth, as deep as you can today. Even if it's shaking, even if it feels shallow still. Just finding our version of calm today, our version of restful breath today. Being mindful of this brief moments of pause between the inhale and the exhale, and making sure we're not passing or speeding through that pause, really acknowledging it, taking that brief moment. Those brief moments between breaths are just as valuable as extending the inhalation and slowing the exhalation. So, just taking a few more moments to establish that breath, to honor the spaces between the breath. Very good. Let's take 3 collective breaths together and sigh it out. Sigh out anything that's weighing us down, anything that we're carrying around that we don't need for the next little bit here. Let's start with a nice big inhale in through the nostrils, filling up the body, filling up the chest. And very good. Two more times, just like that. Big, delicious inhale. And release. Sigh it out. Last one. So good right here. Ah, yes. Ooh, blink the eyes open here. Maybe roll on the back of the head if you like. Reach the arms overhead. Stretch out. Keep the knees bent. Draw the arms back down to the sides here. And then walk the heels a little bit closer into the body. I'm going to move my blanket off to the side so that my head can rest on the ground here. Very good. Hands come down to the sides, palms down. And with the knees pointed straight up towards the ceiling, we're just going to open the right knee out to the side. So rolling out into the outside of the right foot. And we want to try to get that knee down as far as we can without compromising the opposite hip. So left hip wants to stay rooted and grounded. Shoulders stay on the ground. Just start to open and relax this right knee away from you down to the ground. Maybe even a few fingertips down on the thigh to gently guide it open. Breathe into that for just a few breaths here. We're not forcing anything. We're just finding a nice passive stretch here to start. And then inhale, bring that right knee back to center, and we'll find the same on the other side. So inhale, gently release the left knee down. Right hip and foot stays grounded. And exhale, hold it. And then we'll come back to center. Exhale here to hold. And then find this at a little bit of a quicker pace now that we're familiar with the movement and we've opened up very gently. Inhale to open the right knee. And exhale, close. Inhale, left knee. Exhale, close. A few more times at your pace on each side. Finishing up the round here. And then exhaling back to center when you're ready. And we're going to sit up from here. So you can roll off to one side or press your hands down into the ground and lift up here, coming up, all the way up. And we'll sit with our legs extended in front of us. So get nice and comfortable and find your sits bones on the earth, on the ground, whatever you're sitting on. So we're sitting up nice and tall. Legs are as close together as you'd like them. I have a little space because that feels comfortable in my body. If you feel like you are stuck in the hip flexors here, you can always kind of like maneuver your body around to create a little bit of extra comfort and space. So don't be afraid to really get in there and make yourself as comfortable as possible. So sitting up here nice and tall, let's just start to kind of find our pelvis a little bit. So rolling around in little circles to one side and then through the back. And notice the way your core and the side of your body starts to activate as you lean back. And as you warm up, maybe get a little more dramatic with these movements. Use the shoulders, the weight of the upper body to pull you back and then forward. And if you haven't already, let's switch sides. Ooh, so really getting into that pelvic area, that lower back. If you find a spot that feels good, you can hang out there for a few breaths. Keep that breath moving. Maybe let the hands kind of slide up and down the legs for a little added sensory here, little connection to the body. A few more moments like this. And then we'll start to make our way back to center. Sitting up nice and tall, rolling those shoulders back towards the ears and down the spine. And for this next, we're going to take our props. So if you've got a pillow or blocks or whatever you're using, you might find them helpful here. You might not. So try it and see what you like here. So we'll start sitting nice and tall and maybe take the legs open a little bit wider if you have the space. We're just going to come into a resting forward fold from here. So again, find your grounding, find your sits bones if you've lost them here. Nice and tall on the inhale. Shoulders roll back, chest comes forward. I have my hands on the blocks and I'm going to slide them forward into this fold. On an exhale, start to walk the hands forward or slide the hands forward. We're going to find that wide leg forward fold here. And as soon as you feel those ropes on the inner thighs start to wind up and tighten, just take a pause, rest your hands, rest your arms. Think of, we're all going to have a natural curve in our spine, especially in this position, but think of pulling that spine as long as you can. So think of pulling that chest forward to lengthen through that spine. Ooh, and you might find a few more inches here as you do that, as you breathe. Soften the brow. Notice where you hold tension in your body. Maybe it's your shoulders, your jaw, your forearms, your hands. Maybe it's all of the above. Maybe you're a butt clencher. A lot of us squeeze our butt and don't even realize it, and that causes a lot of tension. So notice where you hold your tension and relax, release it, let it go. We're going to be here for a few more moments. Just breathe. And tune into that tension in your body. Do you feel it? Maybe you feel it in the hamstrings, the low back. Wherever it's feeling intense to you, send your breath there. Visualize your breath flowing to that area of the body. And as you practice that acknowledgement, that patience in your body, sometimes that tension might change. Sometimes it'll dissipate, but sometimes it just moves to a different part of the body. So if that's happening for you, that's normal. Just kind of find where the energy is flowing. Send your patience and awareness and breath there. Be with your body here. Keeping that breath fluid and round. Flex through the toes here. Press the heels out slightly if you have soft feet. And let's check in for space here. See if you can maneuver yourself a little deeper into the posture. If you can't, if you are maxed out, there's nothing wrong with that. We're just checking. Remember, we're practicing yoga. We're not doing yoga. Every day is a practice. Every day it looks different. Let's find our last breath here. And exhale. Start to come back to center, nice and slow. Nice and slow. Soften the legs. Ooh, pull the heels in slightly and kind of like kick the knees up. Shake it out a little bit. Lose some of that tension. So we're going to stay here with our legs wide. We're going to stay in this position. I have my hands behind me, so this might work for you too. Hands behind you, maybe the fingertips pointed towards your body. And we're going to come on to the feet here. And we're just going to drop the knees over to one side. So maybe you start with the left side here. Both knees come over. And then take a moment to feel the sensation. If you need to adjust yourself, you certainly can. You can press this knee back, you can bring it forward more, you can have your hands down in front of you, or you can sit up nice and tall if that feels okay. Find what feels supportive, and then we want to rest into this for a few moments. Taking our restorative cues here, I've got blocks and I'm going to bring them under my forearms here. And so we're working the inner thigh here on this back leg, and we're getting into the hip flexor as well. And so depending on your body and what's going on, you might have a lot of space between this inner thigh of the back leg and the ground. We want to strive for having that thigh touching the ground or close to the ground. That's where we're going to get the most emphasis of the stretch. Um, but if you are not there and it feels uncomfortable, maybe on your knee there's some pressure, bring your blanket or whatever you have around you in that space to support you. Kind of like we would for like a pigeon pose, same idea here, slightly different position. So find your ease here, find your relaxation in this posture. And again, come back to the sensations in the body, the way that tension might be sitting or shifting. Find a softness, find a sense of ease here. And also find a sense of feeling confident in owning the movement in your body, even when you are being led in a class like this. There is absolutely no shame or no competition in moving in a way that feels suitable and comfortable and sustainable in your body. I will always encourage you to take any variation or option, even if I'm not offering it, especially if I'm not offering it, if it feels good. We're here together, we're breathing together, the intention is there, and that is the most valuable part of our practice. There's no idea, there's no truth in the idea of perfection. We are all a work in progress, a living and breathing piece of art. Let's check in for space here. We just have a few more breaths here. Check in and see if you can adjust deeper or if you need to come out or switch your positioning. And really let go. Soften the fingertips, soften the glutes, the shoulders, the jaw, the neck. Let your body melt into itself and into the support of the earth. Last breath here. On your inhale, start to press yourself up, back to center, and we're going to find this on the other side. So hands walk behind you, roll up onto the feet, and draw the knees to the other side here. Take a moment, get situated, fill out the posture on this other side. Whew. And then find your resting variation here. Soften that back leg, soften that back thigh. In fact, everything is soft here. This is an extremely passive posture. We don't have to push too hard. Our body weight is doing all the work for us. We just have to get through it, like everything in life. We just have to show up and breathe and get through it. option to check in and readjust yourself. But never at the expense of your comfort or your breath here. Keep breathing and releasing. Allow yourself to sink in a little heavier for the next few breaths. Hmm. On the inhale, start to come back upright here. Walk your hands behind you. We'll come back to center here. And then shift back to the side we started on. Take a breath. Exhale, back to center. And then the other side. And we'll find that one more time on each side. Inhale to center. Exhale, opposite side. And one more time. Inhale to center. Ooh. Exhale to opposite side. Very good. Let's come to hands and knees from here. So take your time. Rolling to tabletop position, maybe walking yourself back on your mat and making sure any props that you're using are within arm's reach for you. So from our tabletop position, hips are stacked over the knees and the shoulders would be stacked over the ankle or the elbows and then the wrists. But if that feels like a lot of pressure on your wrists, you can walk your hands up a little ahead and that might alleviate some of that pressure. If you are feeling that pressure in the wrists and you're taking this option, I really want you to focus on pressing the fingers down into the mat and not just dumping the weight into the wrist. So we work on strengthening through the hands and then eventually a more stable foundation becomes a little bit more comfortable. So take that how you will, and we'll start with cat-cow. So starting on an inhale, drop the belly down and tip that pelvis backwards. Tailbone comes up, gaze comes up. Exhale, round through the spine, chin to chest. Press those shoulder blades up towards the ceiling. And find this at your own pace, moving with your breath. Think of moving that tailbone and the shoulders, and then the rest of the spine will follow. Plugging those fingertips down. Last round here. Very good. Let's come back to center here. And we're going to come into a variation of hero pose, but we'll start with a balancing cat. Really brief, nothing crazy. So bring the knees together for a nice solid middle foundation here. And we'll start with left leg. Extend that left leg out behind you and maybe reach that right arm up. You can always bring that leg down to the ground and keep the hand down or any variation of that. If you have the leg extended, flex the toes down, press the heel out, fingertips reach forward, pressing the ground away with the left hand or the rooted hand. Hands come down here, keep that leg extended, and we're gonna step up halfway. So we're not gonna step up all the way to a lunge. We're just gonna step up about halfway, maybe even less. And we're going to sit back on our heel. I am going to choose some support for this. So I'm going to stack my blocks, 2 blocks, right onto the inner side of my left calf. And I'm going to sit back on that and then scoot my foot back just a little bit here. So I'm supported with the blocks, 2 blocks under my hip, and I'm sitting back on that heel, obviously with some support here. And we'll just sit up. We can rest our hands on the left knee and take a few moments here. Gaze comes straight ahead and breathe. We're stretching out the top of the right foot. Really the whole the whole right leg is getting a nice stretch. You should feel that in your top of your thigh, in the quad. Maybe you feel it in the calf a bit here. Definitely feel around the knee, the tendons around the knee. Try to sit up tall here. Try to pull that chest forward and bring the shoulders back. We're supported by the calf, the shin, the top of the right foot, and then, of course, this grounded left foot and our blocks if we're using them. Couple more breaths here. Soften the face, tuck that chin. Crown of the head is pointed straight up. And on your next inhale, let's start to come out of this. So bringing your hands down to the ground, lifting up. And then we're going to step that right foot back to come back into our tabletop. I have my blocks between my calves here, and I'm going to keep them there because we're going to transition to the other side. So take your time. This time, opposite leg extends. So bring that right leg out. Reaching forward with the left hand, pressing yourself out of the ground with the right hand. Top of the left foot is firmly down for support. One more breath, gaze is down. Exhale, hand comes down. We're going to step this right foot up just a little bit, not even halfway, just enough to give us some space to find our hero pose here. And then we're going to sit the hips back. Make sure your props are there supporting you. And then we'll sit back on this left heel. Again, hands can come to the top of the right knee. And if we have any knee pain, we can certainly come off of this. You can bring a blanket underneath the knee, and sometimes a blanket rolled up right behind the knee alleviates pressure in this joint. That's not an option that works well for me, but it works well for a lot of people. So that's an option if you're feeling like this is too intense on your knee. Otherwise, let's take a few more moments here, just breathing. Finding that softness, exploring the sensation in this posture. Last breath here. Very good. Let's bring our hands down to the ground, work our way out of this. And I am going to bring my blocks from the back to the front, because we're going to come down to lay on our side from here. So let's take a seat, coming kind of at a side saddle here, kind of similar to that 90-90 pose we just did. And I'm going to give you a few options for this posture. So depending on your body, it might feel good to have a pillow or a rolled up blanket to come underneath the armpit for support. We're going to just lay on our side, another restorative posture here. And this block is going to support our head. And this space is going to be for our arm here. So let me give you a nice demonstration and then you can come follow me. So having our support, if we choose it, we don't need it. Always, we don't always need it. Bring that blanket or that pillow down kind of underneath the armpit and extend that right arm down long on the ground. And then the head can come under the block, and the block can be at whatever height is manageable for you. The knees are tricky. They can be however feels good. You can have them stacked up together. I like to take that top knee and let it lay down behind the left. So just choose what feels good for you. Get comfortable here. I'm going to lose this prop because I don't need it. Yes, that's better for me. So coming back down onto the side. And then the arm can reach up and overhead if it reaches the ground comfortably. Or you can kind of open it up behind you or rest it along your side, yogi's choice. Don't be afraid to try something new, even if it doesn't work out. And release here. And let everything soften. And as you relax into this posture, you might choose a different option. You might choose to kind of open up your arm and maybe lose the block under your head. You can go wherever you'd like from this, but really take a moment to see if this feels good and switch it up and make it your own if you'd like. Don't feel stuck or frozen into any variation. And if you're sitting in this posture and you're like, well, I feel a lot of tension, I don't know, on the top of the hip, or, this feels bizarre on my shoulders, just take a moment and make sure you understand that feeling before adjusting, before moving. Notice if it's discomfort, if it's tension, if it's pain, and really make an informed decision on how you switch this posture up in your body. And mainly, I say that to encourage you to breathe through any intensity, any discomfort, and really make a fine distinction between that and pain. We never want to be in pain. But sometimes breathing through the discomfort, letting that move through us is part of the healing process, is part of the restoration process, right? It's part of making us feel better. It's part of making tomorrow a better day. Very nice. Let's take one more nice breath here. And sigh it out. Very good. Start to lift yourself up back to center. Take your time. And we're going to move this party on to the other side. So now that we've been here on one side, it'll be a little bit easier to get into this on the other side. Now that we know what we're doing, where we're going. Find that breath again. Nice deep breathing. Find that pocket of tension that resides on the side. Send your awareness, send your patience to that space in the body. Sit with that for a moment and let's make something new. Let's change it. If we can't get rid of it, let's move it around. Let's transform it into something a little more comfortable, a little bit lighter. Finding your strength, your your kindness through the stillness, taking all that this stillness and this breath has to offer. We like to think of strength being full of power and movement and exuding energy and sweating and all of these things, but the truth is, it's really simple to do a lot of those things. I think the real test of strength is to be still, to choose to think instead of react, instead of leaping, jumping, being quick to judge and quick to respond. It takes a lot of effort to hold your tongue, to hold your effort, to hold your movement, your reaction. And this is where we sit here, learning that lesson of strength. Last breath here. Sigh it out. And start to come back to center nice and slowly. And we're going to come onto our back from here. So slowly reposition yourself. Get nice and comfortable. We find our Shavasana here. So any posture that you like, go ahead and find that. Wherever you're at in your Shavasana, whether the knees are bent or I don't know, maybe you have a pillow under the thighs or something like that, or blocks under the thighs, or supine butterfly, wherever you're at, take up as much space as you possibly can. Let your body spill out and be free. Take our last deep breath together and let's let it out together with an audible exhale, as loudly and dramatic or as soft and quiet as you'd like today. We'll start right here. With that exhale, let any tension lingering on the surface escape your lungs, escape your body. Release the shoulders back, relax the head and the neck. Let the mouth, the jaw be slack here. Allow the eyes to rest and to relax in their spaces. Soften the brow. Tongue pulls at the bottom of the mouth here. Shoulder blades hike up into the back. Chest opens up to the sky. Fingertips are soft and turned upright. Maybe the feet fall away from each other. Find your way back into your natural rhythm of breath where you're not expanding, where you're not slowing and deepening intentionally. And repeat silently to yourself, I am calm, I am peaceful. I am calm, I am peaceful. I am calm, I am peaceful. And repeat that mantra to yourself until you can hear it echoing through your being, until that message is absorbed by your mind and the fibers and tissues in your body, until you believe it to be true, even if just for a moment. We've reached the end of our practice together today. I hope you feel a sense of calm and restoration in your body. And I hope that you remember anytime you need it, your practice is waiting for you on the mat. Whether I'm with you or it's just you and your breath, it's always right within your reach. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to moving with you again soon.